Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Astrology and Coffee. I am Megan with the Academy of Logic and Light. I'm here with our teachers. We've got this side now, Julie and Elle down below. And we're going to be talking today more about the planet Mercury, which, if you're anything like us, we're just discussing how Mercury has been acting up along with all of the other planets that are retrograde right now.
Julie and I might kill somebody. I just want to say that.
But you would never know. Watch Astrology After Dark.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're all fired up.
Yeah. It's like live on YouTube.
Yeah. So get ready for a fiery Mercury.
You have fame in your chart, Julie. You know, this could be how we get famous.
Yeah.
I'd rather be famous for something else, I think.
I'm all about that fiery Mercury. My Mercury is in Mars. So, I mean, whatever. Aries. In Aries. It's fine.
I mean, it's ultimately the same thing.
Yes.
I love that.
Well, the Academy of Logic and Light is a community educational platform, and we provide a safe space for people to practice their spirituality without being indoctrinated. We have monthly meetups here in the Salt Lake Valley. Our next meetup is on Sunday. I'm super excited. We're doing like a protection herb class with our herbology teacher. So that's going to be really great. It's at Fitz Park in Salt Lake, and we've got more information down below in the links. You can also follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We also have a Facebook group where you can join in some conversation, get notifications of events and things that are going on. You can also follow us at academyoflogicandlight.org. We've got all of our events and everything posted over there as well. We also have Patreon if you want to support us there. And if you're interested in teaching with us, like Elle and Julie are today, you can reach out and you can reach out via social media, or you can email us at academyoflogicandlight@gmail.com. So, all right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to run a quick intro and then turn the time over to Julie and Elle. Thanks, everyone.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just happy that we're on the same page today, because I feel like there's nothing better than being angry, but when someone else is angry with you, it's like we can rage together, and I love that.
I was like, what is Mars doing? And I look, it's in Libra, and I was like, I don't know if I have a lot of excuse for that one.
Well, if you think about it too, like whatever your Mars is in, like sometimes if they're very different energies, that can be very difficult. Like I feel like my
Aquarius.
Oh yeah, I don't know what your deal is. You just must be on one. For me, like Libra Sun with the Mercury retrograde and Virgo, like those are two different energies. It just kind of clashes. It's not, they don't flow. And then you have the Mars, thing happening in Libra, and my Mars is Virgo. So it's like, there's just no winning for me. Like,
no,
it's all bad, but it's okay.
I have a PSA. This week, if you are opening portals and you don't know what you're doing, please save them till Mercury retrograde's over. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of weird stuff going on. People are like doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
Just wait till Mercury's over. New moon on Sunday, and we have a little transition. Yeah, we've.
I'm actually coming to that one. I'm coming to that one.
Yay! Oh, I'm so excited.
I know. I'll be there.
It'll be a good one.
Yeah. No, that's super exciting. So.
And we'll be out in nature.
I know, I need that.
Okay. Well, I don't know how your Mercury retrograde's going, but mine is so fun.
I think we made it very clear how Mercury's going for us right now.
I was like, can I slash tires, set things on
Julie's
fire?
gonna beat up boys at the bar, and I'm gonna slice one of my little neighbors that keeps staring at me weird like. So it's fine, we're gonna make history. It'll be two totally separate occurrences, but
Sort of
together.
related.
And then we're gonna like, I had this whole like, if I had to go to trial, I could blame it on Mercury retrograde and where Mars was at the time. Like that's gotta be a good defense at some point,
I think so. Yeah, why not? I also had to contact a lawyer this week too, so it's just been like,
are you serious?
so fun, just full of joy and laughter. I spilt beet juice on my white chair. My cup yesterday shattered like within the 30 minutes of me waking up, and glass was like all the way to the living room. I'm like, come on.
Why? Well, I know nothing's working for me, nothing at all. I'm just like, I'm just gonna disappear into the woods for like a month.
That's what I did. I
Oh.
went camping for like 3 days, and I came back and I was like, it was a huge mistake to come back. Huge. It's very people-y. No one's communicating.
Well, I mean, you're going to the bar to fight with men. I love that. I think that's probably like the smartest thing ever because it's like that gets a lot of aggression out. I should try that.
It does. It's fun. They like it.
Yeah. I don't care that they like it. I just need to go and yell at somebody. So
yeah, it's a good time. It's very easy to pick a fight with an idiot at the bar.
Yeah, I think that's my next move. I think that really might make me feel better.
Yeah, when you're ready to go, let me know. I'm a ride or die bitch.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Megan's reminding
me. Out of Joe. Please come get us. She'd be there too. You know it. She'd be there.
Oh, 100%. All that Aries. Yeah. Okay, Megan's reminding me October 20th and 21st is our Park City retreat. It is limited sign up. It's going to be super fun. All 6 of us, the board members and the teachers, we're all going to be there. Elle's doing astrology readings. I'm cooking and teaching a class on channeling your ancestors with Sammy. It's going to be a good time. So sign up. There's a discount if you bring a friend. Then you guys can share a bed in a room, and that'll be super fun.
I'm excited.
All right. Without further ado, let's actually
what we're actually supposed to be talking about.
Our subjects. Okay, so this we're talking about Mercury part 2. We're talking about the houses, the positive and the negative points. I'll call them the challenging points, and Mercury and its aspects. Remember that the planet is the what energy, what type of energy, in essence, the sign is how do you use that energy. The house is where does those areas show up in your life, and the aspects, which you talk about today, are the dynamics. Blue lines are easier, red lines are challenging. Hi, Neil. Okay, I'm just going to let you roll with these because people can read the slides whenever they want. You have way more interesting things to say.
So Mercury, when you have Mercury and you have your, whatever sign your Mercury's in is kind of like that energy that shows up when you communicate, when you think, things like that. And the house that your Mercury's in, it still has that energy, but depending on what the house is, kind of brings its own energy. So if you have like a Virgo Mercury in the first house, it also is going to show where you show up with how you speak. So for instance, Virgo Mercury, great communicator. In the first house, which is Aries, it's probably going to be very direct. It's going to be very straightforward. It's going to be very, Aries energy, but the first house is the house of self. So this means you're going to be probably very direct with yourself, with other people, with, you're one of those people that truly can be honest with yourself because the first house is self. And the areas of this life that it shows up in is probably your everyday, like your career, your family, relationships. It's a good placement to have to be very, just very direct and very honest with people about who you are because you have that self-awareness with this position. So, and I just threw Virgo in there because Virgo is a very different energy than Aries. Virgo's very so you're probably like cool, calm, and collected. You can communicate very smoothly because it's also Virgo's ruled by Mercury. But it also gives you a little more passion and fire in there that kind of like more Aries energy. So that's the only reason I put Virgo in the mix because they're just different. The sign Aries in the first house is very different than Virgo. So you get all the flavors.
Like taco seasoning.
Yeah. You get like basil and parsley. mixed together.
Oh, sorry. I'm supposed to do the next slide.
That's fine.
I was over here like, wow, tell me everyone's charts.
Maybe I'll take a water break.
Oh, today's fun.
I got you. All right, Mercury in the second house. Again, same kind of, same thing. The house gives it a different energy. So Mercury is very, is all about thinking and how you process things and how you speak. And the second house, which is ruled by Taurus, is a little slower. You may not be one to pop off super quick. You may take your time and really think about what you're about to say before you just jump in there. This is really good for someone who I would say is like a counselor, someone who listens to people and they don't just react or respond with like, oh, they think and they process, and they really they're really practical in how their approach to how they speak. So if you have your Mercury in the second house, you are probably just slower when it comes to communicating. You take your time and you really process and use that for your everyday, like again, your family, your career, your relationships. You speak slowly and you take your time with things. And that's Mercury in the second house. Mercury in the third house. This one's more fun. This one's lively. Like when your Mercury is in the third house, because this is where it really ultimately lives. Like Mercury loves Gemini energy. It's just flowy. You're probably super witty. You're probably a smart ass. Like you probably can just pop off so quick that it just naturally comes to you. These people are very naturally curious, because when you have Mercury in the third house, especially if you have like a Gemini Mercury in the third house, you're always just wondering and just so curious about everything. So this is a really good job for someone who is like an explorer. It would show up, in the place of like traveling and learning, but like really in a different kind of style. You don't want the mundane, like 9 to 5. You need like I'm gone 5 months exploring in Africa, like learning all the things, hands-on, lots of like hands-on kinesthetic energy, because that's how Gemini third house Mercury energy is. It's very hands-on, very active with hands. So that would be Mercury in the third house.
I don't actually have any friends with Mercury in the third house at all.
Because they're too busy exploring other countries. They're
That's
not even
fair. Not even my friends.
I know. They're not exploring America.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth house, Mercury, sorry. So when your Mercury's in the fourth house, this is Cancer energy. This is softer, sweet, homey. It would be a little difficult here because I feel like the Cancer, the fourth house energy is very feel based, where Mercury is a think based. It's like, they kind of have a hard time jiving as easily. It's very doable and it can flow really well. They just have to understand each other. When you have your Mercury in a house that's of emotions and family, and Mercury is so busy and wants to be out and about, you have to find like a balance of that. And so when your Mercury is in the fourth house, you probably like would do something career-wise, or how you are in your family or relationships would be very caring, very nurturing. Maybe a caregiver, someone in the hospital, that might be a career choice for you. Because how you communicate and how you think is very loving and very caring. And you're probably very sweet with your family and very kind to them, and relationships, friends, whatever. So you just have a different energy. With your Mercury's in the fourth house, your life direction is very caring and nurturing. Mercury in the fifth house, very fun. This is more of a fun, playful type of personality. When your Mercury, it jives here, like fifth house energy is like center of attention, lively, fun, arts, children. And then when you have your Mercury in a place, it gives you this fun way of communicating, probably a good singer in this instance, like with your Mercury, your voice in the 5th house. It's very artistic. There's a craft with the 5th house that is like, these people are artists. They sing, they're musically inclined, they play pianos. You may communicate in your life direction, could really be like an entertainer of some sort. So this kind of gives you an advantage because these people generally have soft voices or beautiful voices. It doesn't have to be soft. It can be just a beautiful voice. I know some really good raspy singers that I'm like, those aren't soft voices, but their voices are amazing. And so that's just kind of the energy that Mercury gives in this. You're just probably really gifted, talented in like arts, and how you express yourself is very artistic.
What house is your Mercury in?
Mine is in the 10th house.
That's what almost all of my friends have, like later houses.
Yeah. Well, and we'll go into it, but I mean, I'm very business. I try to be fun, but I'm not. I'm not very a fun person. Like, I try to be. I have like my moments.
I think you're fun.
Yeah. I try. That's because I'm showing up and I'm trying to be fun, but in my everyday like life, I'm not fun. I'm just like, I'm very like, okay, how can we do this? And let's figure out this. And I'm always trying to figure things out. My husband's like, stop. Like, can you just like calm down? I'm like, no, we need answers.
That's funny. We need answers.
Yeah, I know. He's like, you have to stop. All right. Mercury in the 6th house. Again, kind of like that 3rd house. So you have the 3rd house, Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. You have Virgo ruled by Mercury. 6th house is Virgo energy. So it really drives here. But it doesn't drive in the same way that it did in the 3rd house. The 3rd house was more like travel, fun, exploring. This one is more organization, facts. They are probably a really good, I don't want to say really good boss. They're probably very efficient boss. They probably really handle work well. They're very practical. They're organized. They communicate. It flows very well, but it's probably very direct and a little more harsh than, say, Mercury in the 3rd house, because the 3rd house is more fun. It's Gemini energy. Virgo is not fun. Virgo is very like tense and anxiety driven energy. It is. I mean, I'm saying that like if you're a Virgo and you're like, I'm a lot of fun, you probably are a lot of fun, but there's probably other things in your chart that make
I've never met a fun Virgo.
I haven't either. Actually, my friend, she's a Virgo and she's fun, but she's very serious. But she's funny when she's funny. I don't know. She has a Leo rising, so
that tracks. Yeah. I'm a 6th house Mercury.
Are you?
So all of that tracks.
Yeah, direct. I mean, I don't mean it to like be rude, but Virgo is just not a fun sign. And so I tell people that and they're like, I'm a Virgo and I'm so fun. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you are, but I'm sure there are other placements that make you fun.
Fun to who?
Yes, and who says here? I need a few people. Give me some references. I'm going to need those.
But yeah, I am a super direct communicator, and to a fault sometimes. It definitely, like I said, I go to the bar to make fun of men right now.
Piece of shit. Why are you buying me a drink?
Didn't ask for this.
Yeah. What do you think?
At one point, I told a guy I should be charging him for me to roast him because people pay a lot of money for this quality shit.
He's over there almost in tears, and you're like, quit crying.
He turned around. He stopped talking to me. And that was after he told me my eggs were old and like drying up. And so I just like let loose. We had a good time.
You're like, maybe I don't even fucking want kids, you piece of shit.
I'm fucking 40. I know I don't. I'm fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, no, not everyone wants that. It's fine.
And I was like, did you get his sun sign at least? So you knew like what?
Yeah, he basically gave me all of his information. I probably could have stolen his identity probably easily.
Oh, good. I like that.
I know. I was tempting.
Ruining your life at the bar wasn't enough. I'm going.
He's gonna wake up in the morning and be like, my feelings hurt and I don't know why.
I think she took hair off my head and did something.
Yeah, witchcraft. Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm like, well, I don't know why. I'm more like physically ready to like hurt someone than I could use witchcraft, but I'm like, man, that just seems so karmic. I never do witchcraft for negative. So, because I'm like, man, I don't want that to come back to me. But I mean, I'd stab somebody for sure. Like that makes no sense.
Honest.
Makes no sense.
Honest.
It's fine. My Mercury's in the 10th house. I'm just putting out. It's in Libra though, and the Libra. Don't even get me started on the Libra stuff.
Yeah.
Libra Mercury. We're supposed to be soft and kind, and I am.
It's
not.
Weird energy right now. Sometimes you want to cut a bitch.
Yeah, it happens. All right, Mercury in the 7th house of Libra. No, when I say don't get me started on Libra with the Mercury, it's just I'm not in the mood to be soft and kind right now, and so when I hear the 7th house is that it's very kind, it's balanced, it's understanding. You speak with intent to listen, and you also speak with making things fair and balanced. So if your Mercury is in the 7th house, this shows up in your life in places of career. A judge would be a very good placement for this because you are capable of thinking and seeing the other sides, or even an attorney, things like that in the law that really require different ways of thinking, and to be able to take yourself out of the story and try to understand the other side. This is a really good placement for that. So if you have this, you're probably indecisive ultimately. And I talk about Libra this a lot because it's not that they're indecisive because they can't make up their mind. It's just they really understand all the points of views, and it's so hard for them because they're like, well, I get this person and I get this person, or and so it's good and it's bad. So if you have a Mercury in the 7th house, it's probably one of those things that you're constantly trying to keep balance, trying to say things in a way that are soft and kind, and you don't want to ruffle feathers. And I'm just not with that energy today. Sorry. Mine is not in the 7th house.
I also just looked. The moon is in Leo.
Oh.
And so is Venus.
Yeah. I feel that fiery energy for sure. But yeah, that is the 7th house. Mercury in the 8th house. These are the researchers. 8th house energy, Scorpio energy, Pluto energy. They like to dive deep. They like to understand things. They're very in tune with their emotions, but so a little different than Cancer, the 4th house. The 8th house, it's still emotion. It's still driven by emotion, but there's an understanding that's a little different. It's deeper, and these people really get their emotions. So the way that they think kind of reflect that. They always kind of seem calm, which a lot of times 8th house placements, calm is not really how I would describe those. But with Mercury there, Mercury is
honestly, I was like,
yeah. But I mean, it's because there is a depth there. And I guess if they're really not evolved, then they definitely may not be calm. But they have good insight, they have good intuition, they think and they speak very, very truthfully and very just heavier. They have a heavier perspective on things, and they like to share that. So this would be a good person or a good placement for someone. Let me think of I'm trying to hit careers here for placements, but someone that can really speak about things that are heavy, someone that maybe leads a what are the people called that go to other countries to preach? Because religion and a cult is kind of one of those things. I could see somebody
what my parents used to do.
I think they're not missionaries. It's not I hear missionary and I think LDS, but it's there were people that went to other countries that preach. I guess it's the same, but they were in groups.
Modern day colonizers.
Something, but those would be the things. They're doing a bigger purpose, a cause, and it's kind of heavy, but they're doing it. They believe in it, and they're able to speak and use their intuition and their emotion to really bring people together. That's kind of the Mercury in the 8th house energy.
Mercury in the 8th house is my demon ex.
Oh,
an unhealed one.
So not very calm.
No, I mean calm until not. Let's say that.
Yeah. Well, and you think of Scorpio, if he's upset and he's not evolved, how he communicates is going to be very hurtful. He's going to take his little stinger and try to stab you. not to negate.
Perfect. That's my favorite.
I'm
Let's
back.
go. Let's go.
But yeah, no, I could see that being heavy, but
yeah,
I'm trying to keep it on a light, positive note.
After all of our murder.
I know. I'm like, ooh.
Everything's
this was
fine.
Fun though. I know, we're fine. It's fine. This one is fun. So Mercury in the 9th house, Sagittarius. I just fucking love a Sagittarius. Like the energy, the fire, the fun, the banter. It's light, it's easy. Mercury in this house is very much that. Again, it's kind of like the 3rd house. They like to explore. They are more philosophical than 3rd house energy. They're curious about like modern day times, and a Sagittarius 9th house energy is more like history and things like that, or uncovering my brain today, I swear to God. The just like lies within society, like uncovering things that were not truthful, or these are like conspiracy theorist people, like their brain loves to think like, oh my gosh, but what if, and you know, like this is that kind of energy. These are really great for people that, you know, go out and research things or try to dig and find to get to the truth of things. This is kind of like the truth placement. Your Mercury's in the 9th house. You want the truth. You want to get to the bottom of things, and you dig, and you'll go through the great lengths to do that because that's what your passion and you feel is just, and it's really truly drives you. So I like that energy. Oh, and here's mine, Mercury in the 10th house.
Okay,
you have no personality.
That makes sense. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. 10th house is
yeah, the way I communicate, and I'm a Libra, so you know, it's like soft, and I do use a lot of tact. I am very kind, especially in business matters. I don't lose my shit in business matters. Like just to give you an example, so my grandmother was passing away, and this is such a Mercury, the way my thing, I can disconnect my emotions so heavily on this, was passing away, and my sister was like, hey, do you want to say last words? Like, and I was like, oh no, I'm about to go into a meeting. I'll have to just, you know, kiss her for me goodbye. And my boss is like, holy shit. And like my Mercury is so strong in the 10th house. My sun is there too. They're right next to each other. That career and like how I handle business, when you have a 10th house Mercury, you hold your shit together no matter what. You're like cold, ice cold. You're like, and even for me to have
compartmentalize.
Oh yeah, 100%. And even for me to be a Libra, or if you have like a softer sign like Pisces or Libra and have those in the 10th house, you take business very serious. And so, and I take, and everything seems to kind of turn into business for me. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to raise my kids and teach them how to survive and teach them like this so they can be this. Like, it's always about like success and business and public role. And that's truly the theme of my life. And so my sun is there. And a lot of times you'll find in your chart, if your Mercury's in a house, a lot of times your sun is right there next. I mean, it can't be too far. It can be over a little bit, but it's never going to be too far. So, but yeah, these people really communicate and think in a strategic, success-driven kind of way. I mean, it's just how
I like it.
I know. I'm literally everything that I do. I'm like, we could turn this into a business. We can turn that into a business. We could do this. What's the most practical approach for this? And I'm constantly thinking about it. I go through something. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to start a business. Maybe I need to do this more, whatever. It's like, that's how I cope with things that I'm going through is success. I escape my reality in the moment, and I'm like, success. Like, I think about it. I start driving on it. I start writing it down. Like, that's how I cope with my emotions.
I can relate.
What's really going to get to the bottom of this? Being successful.
Yep.
I'm like, makes me feel good. All right. Mercury in the 11th house. Aquarius. This is Aquarius energy. So it drives here too. You know, Mercury is intellectual, smart, thinks. It's, you know, everything. Aquarius loves that. Aquarius, they are the most outside of the box thinkers ever. So if your Mercury is in the 11th house, you probably come up with the craziest but most like amazing ideas. You are one of those people that can be like, oh, well, we've been doing this for 100 years. Let's try this. This might be easier. And it's like everyone's mind blown. Like, wow, how did you even figure that out? Because you just think like smart. Your Mercury in the 11th house, you know, you're probably great with friends. Your whole who you communicate the best with and how you engage the most and the most efficient is probably with friends. Family too that are friends, but it's like that's kind of more your area of expertise, I would say. And then as far as career and something like this, Mercury in the 11th house, people really tend to be friendly and like again smart. So these are like analysts that go through and analyze things and help find solutions to problems, and people that really can take themselves out of the situation and think outside of the box. So they can be assholes. You might be an asshole if your Mercury's in the
I was just going to be like, oh, my friends are so-and-so and so-and-so with Mercury in the 11th house.
Are they assholes?
I was like, they can be, and they love that part.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That was actually the funniest one because it's Mercury 11th house is Kate and Danny. And I've been out to the bar destroying men with both of them this week.
Oh, I love that. You know what? I'm coming. Just tell me where. I'll be there.
Oh, and my friend. Oh, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they can be assholes, but you know, it's all in good fun, and it's probably the truth. Whatever they're saying is probably the truth. So
that's what makes it so much more fun.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But it's good energy. It jives well when your Mercury's in the 11th house. It's flowy. You've got a good little trine there.
Yeah, I like that.
And then we step into the 12th house. This is not the best placement for Mercury. Mercury is thinking, and the 12th house is fantasy. So I'm just going to say you're going to have to pull yourself out of that world and just come to Earth every once in a while. Not all the time. I really think these people love being alone just so they can sit in their own fantasy world and not deal with people. These are true loners, truly enjoy being by themselves. And, you know, the way they think is very imaginative. Like they can probably, you know, write a story, create a script. They just, you know, very mystical, and they have a lot of that energy. But a lot of times it can be so daydreamy and so like aloof that it's like, hello, are you still in there? Like the world is here. So this would be a good place for someone who's a writer, a poet. You communicate very emotionally, but also very like, it's just different. You communicate differently. You see things differently. You think differently. Pisces, same with Aquarius. They think so different that it's like, it's things that we can't even like fathom until it's said. And then it's like, oh, I never thought of that. And so, but Pisces is way different than Aquarius energy because it's not as well put together. It's not as like, when you have Mercury in the 12th house, you're just a little more daydreamy. Like that's just who you are. And that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just remember to come down to Earth. It's the best advice I can give this person.
No one wants that, though. No one wants to come back to Earth right now.
No. Somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. All right. The aspects I just want to point out really quickly for those that are newer to this. If you have your birth chart like this is your aspects. It's all of those lines, but this is the easy way to look.
And a conjunction is flowing and happy, not the opposition. That was my bad last week. I really went off on opposites, and then I was like, why am I doing oppositions? That's conjunction, you know. It's just
the one that's a little red circle with the line going out, that's a conjunction. It's a what?
Oh, wait, what are you for?
The little red circle on the aspects that has the little line out.
Yeah.
What is that called?
Are you asking about the glyph, the Chiron?
No, the aspect.
So the red is square. Let me see what you're looking at. I think mine is different.
See the little circle with the line going out?
Oh, yes. That
What is that
one,
called?
I think that's conjunction.
Okay, I thought so too. I was like, I think
Yeah.
it is.
I think yeah, sorry. I'm like, I thought you were talking about on the thing, because there's the circle with the K, and it's Chiron.
Oh yeah,
It's the,
that one, yeah.
comment. Okay. Sorry. But yeah, that's the conjunction.
Okay.
So when your Mercury and your Venus, you're doing this, and then we'll go through the other one. Sorry.
Me?
Is this my turn?
I'm like, I don't know. I just asked you about the circle with the red line. Super professional.
Yeah. We got our shit together.
I think my Mercury is conjunct Venus. That's how I'm reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good to have. You flow.
Yeah, I like to think so.
You get it. You get how you feel in love and how you feel fulfilled in your relationships and how you communicate they're the same. They're the same energy. So there's no confusion when you have a square and something like that. It's really hard when your Mercury squares your Venus, because what you're saying, what you need, what your love language is, whatever it is, isn't flowing. You have to figure out how to word things, or how to, express yourself truly on how you feel. It takes time. You have to evolve through that. So it's possible. It's just the harder aspect.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Is there anything else you want to add to this?
Not really. I mean, like I said, when you're Mercury and Venus, when they're in conjunction, they're the same. So you feel true to who you are. When they're trine, it's kind of like they're not the same. They're different, but they really jive well together. It's like if you have a Virgo and a Capricorn, you're practical, you're organized, you're focused, like all those go together, and they make sense. It's very beneficial. But if you have like a Mercury Capricorn and a Leo Leo's maybe not a good Capricorn, and perhaps like a Libra Venus, it could be very challenging, because Capricorn is very serious and direct, and Libra is kind of whatever, and so it causes a challenge on how you speak and how you communicate. You may be saying I want this, but feeling I need this. Like it's harder to flow.
Makes sense.
And I use Capricorn and Libra because they square each other, and that makes sense.
That's perfect. Here we are. We got Mercury and Mars.
So when your Mercury and your Mars, when they jive, you get shit done. You speak you're like very direct. You speak like what you need, and you take action, and it aligns. It makes sense. You're like, I'm going to do this. You do it. All is well in the world. And how you feel and your passion, when they're together, it can literally just give you this ability to be very active, practical mind. It just makes it easy. Whereas if it's, you have a Mercury and a Mars that square each other, what you say and what you actually do don't align. It's like, oh, why the fuck did I do that? Like, oh, it makes no sense because I really meant to do this. Like that happens a lot with people when their Mercury squares their Mars. And then the conjunction again, same thing. If they are in conjunction, they're just well put together. This says that writing, speaking, witty, because it's the same energy. You act and you behave, and your needs are the same way that you think and speak.
Now I'm going through everyone's chart.
You're like, here's where your problem is. Your Mercury.
I found it.
Mars.
You're welcome.
Figure that shit out.
I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Do you ever meet people that just ramble, that just talk,
and
you're just like, this is a good indication of somebody whose Mercury and Mars do not align, because they have to repeat themselves, or they have to keep saying things because what they're saying isn't fulfilling a need within them. Like they just keep and it's like that never gets
just
full.
Stop talking.
I know. But
if you're not fulfilled, I'm not fulfilled.
Yeah, nobody's fulfilled. So shut up. I know. I get it. I want to say that a lot, but I'm literally just staring, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of squares in this person's chart. I can just see that they're not together. They're like fumbling their shit all over the place, and I'm just like, I see it a lot with like women who can't get their shit together, and men too, but especially with women, because, you know, they typically are more emotional. I can see squares a mile away. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I did this and I said this, but then this happened. And I'm like, I don't think you communicated that clearly at all.
That's really
I think
interesting.
you know, and it's very obvious.
That is very interesting. I've just gone through everyone's chart, and really there's none of my friends have any of those.
That's good.
Sydney says, Elle calls me out for my chart all the time.
Your Scorpio moon is showing.
That is literally my favorite sentence.
I know. It's good. It's good.
Mercury and Jupiter.
Mercury and Jupiter. You know, when they trine, when they really flow, it's an active mind. You do broad outlook. You know, Jupiter's about expansion and luck. And so this does give them good judgment because they're able to think clearly and kind of see people for who they are. It can, if it's not a very pleasant aspect, can cause the opposite, you know, not good judgment. It's like, oh, they seem like a good person. And then you're like, oh, my money's gone. I got robbed. Oops. Fuck. That's those people that just like have faith in all the people. It's like, yeah, you probably should have like paid attention to some things, but there's just not that awareness that there's a naiveness to this person that when you have this square, because
they want to see the best in everyone.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times it depends on what the square is. I mean, like the planets are, the signs would obviously indicate that, but it just doesn't give you as clear of a mind. And then, yeah, like I think of when I see Jupiter, when I see really good, whether it's a conjunction or a trine, it's somebody that I ultimately, they're pretty intelligent and not just like intellectually, but also like their emotional intelligence. A lot of times, really, this is a good placement for someone that's that has that, because it does truly like jive together, and it's built up that confidence for them to be relaxed and calm. Because really, when you think about someone who lacks emotional intelligence, it's somebody that's like fluttered, right? They can't control their emotions, and because they haven't had the practice. There's been too many tugs and pulls and whatever's in their life that they don't know how to control that. So this placement really gives the mind an ease and a comfort to work through those things probably as a young kid, and to be calm and just have that emotional intelligence as an adult.
I love that. Mine's a little blue is it a sextile?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Mercury and Saturn.
Well, Saturn is my favorite.
I know, right?
Mine actually, so mine square each other.
Mine too.
I'm a stupid in life. Like I make the same mistakes over and over because if I don't learn from it, you know what? It comes back, and it comes back heavier each time. So we have to really learn, and we talked about this. We talked about, because we have to sometimes go through things so we can teach others. We're like the martyrs, and fuck that, but here we are.
I know.
We have to go through it to communicate to other people, to teach them. So it's like, okay, I can give a lot of good advice to my friends because I've been through so much bullshit. And that is what this is. Your Mercury, the way you think, it goes through the shit time and time again. And then once you graduate from this shit, then it puts you in some other shit. So like you're well versed in all the shit, you know? It's like, fuck.
Oh joy.
But you can come to me for anything because I have all the advice. Like I can tell you, like, oh yeah, this happened to you. Yeah, let me tell you what I did and what works, because it happened to me too. And so it gives us such a. This is the square. So if you have a square, the positive way of looking at this is that you truly have this to learn and grow and go through all the things. I wish that I could say that I feel like it'll eventually, like, oh, once you like work through it and evolve through it, it won't come up again. That won't come up again, but there's always going to be little things. There's always going to be little shit in your life, but we have the strength to overcome it. And we have the strength to grow from it. We are capable of seeing that, okay, this obstacle is obviously a lesson, and we have to work through it, and we figure it out. And not a lot of people have that. So, I mean, that's it. That says volumes about us, right? Like, we're strong. You can't kill us. We're just going to keep pushing through. And so, it's good to teach people good aspects. You don't have those things. You don't have to go through a bunch of bullshit. You're jiving.
You know,
like? Saturn, I know, tell us. Because I'm tired of the BS, you know? But it's fine because now we know. These people, you know, they're disciplined, they're well organized, great concentration because they don't have to go through all the bullshit in life. Like it's been a little easier on them. And they might even have other aspects that are really difficult that they go through that, you know, teaches them in other ways. But Saturn is ultimately the daddy planet. He teaches us how to deal with shit, how to get through it, how to be strong, how to be tough. And when you don't have that, those challenges, I'm not saying it makes you like weaker. It makes you like, if you haven't been exposed to something, you just don't know. So, and that's good. That's lucky. And then the conjunction is the same. It's, you know, they jive. Who you are and how you think and the lessons that you go through are really it's nice to have because you can like look at the situation and be like, oh, well, this is why this happened, and it not really affect you emotionally. Like it all aligns because it makes sense, and it's like the lesson that you learned or whatever you're going through doesn't even really affect you because that's how you already think. So it's really the square. To me, this is one of my least favorite squares. When I see people with this, I'm like, oh, you're going to go through a lot of shit. I don't know if I really want to, like, live life with you. My husband does not have this. I'm the one always going through the shits. And I'm like, and so he has his own things. He has his own squares. He's got squares. But, yeah, this one is hard because it's not just little things. It's like you get hit a lot with big things, and we're just forced to push through, and that's what we do.
Yeah, that you just described my whole life. It's fine. It's fine.
We're fine. All right. So this aspect is when you have good, it does give you like a cleverness, originality. Uranus is all about, you know, self and like expression and things like that. So it can really, you know, be beneficial. Well, all trines are beneficial, obviously, but you really flow with who you are. You're comfortable with who you are. You're independent. It's a good placement that you're not needy. You're not a needy person if you have this trine or the conjunction, because they're kind of the same.
I have the sextile.
Oh, see, you're chilling. It's cool to have someone, but like you don't need someone. You know, those people are like, I need a boyfriend or whatever, or somebody. Yeah. It's like, you're not really like that.
No.
You're like, I'd rather fight with men at the bar than go meet them and enjoy my time with them. I want to make them
actually get to know their names.
Yeah. I just need your birth chart, and then let's banter.
Oh my God, I got so many birth charts this weekend. I did so many birth charts.
I hope you're charging people for this.
I know I should, but it's good practice because I'm still in like the learning phase.
Yeah.
It's usually people that are like, I don't believe in astrology. I was like, let me see your chart. And then I'll tell you about you before you tell me about you. And then they're like, oh, wow, this is wild. I met someone this weekend who had 6 Virgos in their chart.
You
6. I know. I was like,
and they were
life
at the
is
bar?
not flow for you. Yeah. Well, they were forced to go to the bar with their fiance.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck was that person doing at a bar? Because Virgos are like, you know.
Literally said like 3 words the whole time.
He was like, I hate this. This is awful.
100%.
And then you bust out with astrology, and they're like, oh God, here we go.
I know. And his fiance was like, do his chart. And I was like, oh, he doesn't look like he wants. I was like, do you actually want? He was like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool.
My favorite thing ever is when I do someone's chart that's so uninterested because of their wife. Typically, it's the husband. And I start saying things, and they're like, I'm like, oh, well, I can see that you have these issues in your childhood of being different and not fitting in. And they're just like, I grew up in it's a white guy. He's like, I grew up in an all black and Hispanic community and on the East Coast. And I was like, you really struggled. You fought a lot. And he was like, I did. And you just see him like, fuck.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's really cool because it's like, you know, there's certain things that you can see that I can really just like, you know, ask you about or whatever and blow their mind.
I can't wait to know which part of this chart means childhood.
Yeah.
I can't wait to understand it like that.
I know. I'm like, there's some things here. But yeah, no, it's very fun. And it's fun when people don't believe and then you teach them something. Like, I love that. All right, Mercury and Neptune. Creative, artistic. I mean, those are all things when you have this good aspect, you really can be free and spiritual and very like life is flowy, life is good, life is happy. I think this is truly like a happy soul. And so when you don't have a good, aspect and it's more challenging, it's like, again, opposite. It's like you don't think very clearly. You don't feel strong in your beliefs. There's probably like this little, not necessarily dark cloud, but kind of a little dark cloud over your soul that makes you feel like you just aren't quite good enough. This is kind of that. It's the way you think and who you are, if you're good or bad. And so, or not good or bad, like you can be good, but the person with this hard placement would think that they're not good, that they're bad, and even if they don't do bad. So it's kind of sad. And then the conjunction, impulsive, yeah. I mean, I would say that when you have them as the same, this is probably one of the ones that I would say is the harder one to have the same, because it's like when you have different mixtures, like if you have a trine where it's like two different signs, but they flow together, that's nice. It brings originality. It brings like this kind of different personality or internal like happiness, but it's the same. It kind of can be like, depending on what the sign is, it can bring out a little stronger of those signs and how you are internally. So that could be good or it could be bad. If it's Scorpio, it could be, if you could take it negatively, if there's a conjunction and this is like, it's like heavily, they're the same, they're both say Scorpio. There's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of heaviness, and it's hard to see yourself outside of that and what you feel internally. So it's not bad. It's just doesn't have a lot of flavor to it. It's just kind of plain. If that makes sense, and how you feel and who you are.
No.
Mercury and Pluto. I would say good aspects for this. Pluto is so far away. It's so it's the furthest away from the sun, and it's the darkest, and it's generational, right? Like we'll never in our lifetime meet someone with like the opposite of our Plutos, because it comes around so many years. Like we'll never get to experience that. And so when I think of things like that in Mercury and like the way you think, it's like there's so much that I feel like could be explored, but we're never going to be able to explore it because it doesn't come around. So like good aspects, when you have, they flow well. It's very, the best way is like unexplored, like
uncharted.
Yeah. And so you can have trines, but it's like, it's very subtle. It's not a strong aspect. It's very like, oh, okay. So to touch on it, it's like, okay, I can read this, like versatile, sudden changes in opinions, things like that. But it's like, I don't know how much study, like how much, I don't know how to explain it, like what I'm trying to say, like how much we really dive into this one. Like I can read these and we can look up things, but I don't know how it really checks out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot more to know yet.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's so much more to learn about Pluto. I think it's very like barely tapped in. So for like a square, like what this is, tends to rush into commitments before considering actions. That is a very, Pluto, like there's a lot of that with a lot of aspects with Pluto, like, because I feel like it's unknown, like it's so uncharted waters, best way to put it.
Yeah.
And then when you have a conjunction, it's the same, in the same sign, it can be the way that you think can be very, fulfills kind of like what you're like in this lifetime that you're supposed to do. Kind of like, I always kind of associate Pluto with like North Node energy, but it's kind of like direction of life. So when they're the same, I think it really aligns and like flows really well. And I hope that makes sense. It's hard. Pluto's always hard for me because I I just feel like there's so much about Pluto that we still yet to learn and explore, that it's like I don't want to give like the wrong information, because I feel like it's just not, we just don't know as much about it. So
yeah,
I need to I feel like meditate on Pluto and really like pull like, you know, divine and like things like that for me to really like dive into it, because I just don't feel like that's really been done a lot in our astrology world.
Maybe we could do that when we do our deep dive into Pluto.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, meditate on it, bring all the energy, understand it better, build a connection with it. Because I am the least connected to Pluto, and I've always associated with it being so far away from the sun that there's this huge disconnect. But I feel like maybe I need to drive, because I mean, we all have, most of us, not all of us, have Scorpio Plutos.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some Libras.
I'm a Libra Pluto.
Are you? Yeah. So mine's Scorpio, and then my kids are Sagittarius. So it's like, those are the lifetimes that we know. Like, those are the only ones thus far. I mean, my grandmother, you know, definitely was Virgo and whatever, but in great grandparents, but I haven't, if you go far back, I can't really, it's hard to study those people with their aspects, because I didn't meet them, and the people that are coming in the future. So that's where I'm saying I just need to dive deeper. There's just so much information that I feel like we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's fair.
Yeah.
That is all of our planets.
Yay!
For today.
We made it through the houses.
If you guys have any questions, pull your charts at astro.com and ask your questions now. This is the time to do it. Next week, we will be doing Venus. I've started some of that already, and that has already been very enlightening information.
Venus is the love planet. So if you know people that are like, oh, my relationships always suck, blah, blah, or this or that, or you're that person, tune in, because Venus is going to shed a lot of light on your relationships, how you love, your love language. I can tell a love language from a Venus. So it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it is going to be fun. I'm actually really excited about that. Let's see. What do we got on this side? Oh, Megan said her Mercury's in Gemini.
Oh, hey, but you know what? That's spicy, but it's good. I mean, I love a Mercury in Gemini, because you speak and think so clearly. It's like it flows. It's chilling. It's, you know.
It's chilling.
It's chilling. It's, you know, it's just a chill little Mercury to have, like Geminis.
My Mercury's in Aries, Mars in Gemini, so there's a bit of a...
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Mercury. I mean, Mercury in Aries is very direct and very fiery, fierce, how you think, warlike. Mars, I think that's what Salem, my daughter, is. I think she's a Mercury in Aries and a Mars in Gemini. Yeah, the Facebook, I don't know who that is.
April, I had to go into the April something. I had to look on the side.
10th house Mercury too. It makes so much sense. I mean, I truly feel like that is like how I think. I think everything is business, and I'm trying to like work through that, but at the same time, like I've kind of accepted that too. I am like, it's fine.
It's not a bad placement. At least it's not lazy.
No, not at all. I've never been called lazy in my entire life.
Same,
if anything,
actually.
people are like, slow down, stop working so hard, enjoy your life. Like, I gotta work.
Yep, I can relate to all of that.
I'm actually in that space now where I work 2 days a week. But I'm channeling my energy into my children, because, you know, Salem is 6 months. And my son, my oldest, is in college. And so, like, I've really, like, channeled my, like, success for them. Like, how am I going to make her smarter? We're playing little games for 6 months on, like, how I can teach her to be smarter so she's more efficient. I'm going to homeschool them. So it's, like, all these things, but it's, like, in a different direction, which is weird. It's still the same end goal. Like, if you really think about it, what I'm doing is, like, creating successful humans. Yeah. But I'm doing it not for myself, which is, I think, very good, because I've always been like, well, not for myself. I've always done it for my kids, but, you know, I've always like worked hella hours, and I'm not doing that. So
nice. It's nice to have some change.
Yeah, it's very different.
Well, I don't see any more questions, so I think that's all that we have for today. We survived another Mercury slides in Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
And
The
like
first one
you'll
was
notice none of the fonts match. It's been a challenge.
And if you know what, if you're looking at it that closely and you're that upset about it, Virgos, you might want to just
I'm upset about it.
take a breather, Capricorn.
I was like,
The
I need
Virgos
everything
and
to
the
match.
Capricorns are over here like, oh my gosh. I noticed
Yeah.
that too. My daughter has a soccer schedule, and like some of the things were bold and some of them weren't. So I'm like, does the bold mean away games or home games? And then I'm like looking, and then I'm like, oh, somebody's just a fucking idiot and didn't do it right. Like, great.
Maybe they're having the same issue with Canva that I'm having.
Yes, they have to. So, but yeah, it had nothing to do with away or home games, and just somebody bolded and unbolded.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Elle. Thank you, everyone watching. Thank you, Megan. We will see you guys next week for Venus. Bye.